friends, this is Chandra from Akulmak, and today we are most happy to welcome back Mr. Pradeep Sen to our show. And our discussion today is about business dynamics and agility. Welcome back, Pradeep.
Thank you, Chandrakant. Good to be back. Happy to, have a conversation with you on any topic of interest.
So, Pradeep, just for the benefit of viewers, I will just quickly summarize your introduction. Uh, Pradeep has been a very senior person in the industry. He has been associated with very large brands in leadership role. So I would not like to name all of them today, but he has been lastly in his corporate journey was MD of NCR Corp South Asia and also the board member. And Pradeep is now mentoring the industry chief executives and also the budding startup companies. And he's also helping large organization in streamlining their business processes. So with this brief introduction, we are happy to welcome Mr. Pradeep Sen once again. And we will start our discussion around business dynamics and agility that corporates and organizations can acquire. So we will start the discussion, Pradeep.
Okay, go ahead. Let's go through it.
So Pradeep, everybody talks about being agile. We keep reading about these, these leaders coming out with different articles in the press or in different discussions that it is important to be agile today. And it is not important only for a small company, but it is equally important for a large organization also to behave like a startup. So while we speak and we hear all these words, is there a measure of defining agility which you would like to share with our viewers today?
See, we discussed in our previous conversation also, the businesses have always been evolving and changing. And with changing business, the organizations to survive and compete and be in the marketplace have also been required to adapt and change their basic strategy sometimes, business model sometimes, and even operational strategies. Okay. Uh, what is happening with the advent of technology and a connected world, the changes are much quicker, much faster. And particularly for a large organization, which is obviously has to operate with a structure and organization, the need to change or the difficulty, the challenges of changing becomes even more. So the term agility has come because of this factor that in a highly changing and disruptive business environment, organizations have to be flexible enough to quickly make changes in whichever area of operation they need, or even for that matter, the basic strategy itself, so that they are able to not only compete and stay ahead of competition and stay relevant. Organizations who have ignored this aspect of often have found that they are out of sync with the market realities of the business climate and have been forced to shut down or have taken a very large beating in the marketplace. So agility is like a sportsman is agile, athletic. Organizations have to develop the capability of having structure, process, because that's the only way you can keep a strong governance in place and yet have the ability to quickly adapt to changes that are required. And some of these changes could be very, very frequent, sometimes within matter of weeks. So while I am not going to give you a measurement of agility, I would say those who survive in the current marketplace have necessarily have to be agile. If they are falling out of the marketplace, then they are not agile. So let's by and large keep it binary. But the more agile you are, the better suited you are in terms of being able to quickly respond to the environment. Now, take a note of all this. As we shifted, the consumer, the power shifted from the supplier to the customers with higher capacity of production and smaller demand, what has happened is that it is not only the needs and wants of customers is changing, the customers' expectations are forever changing. Okay. And competition, therefore, is one of the factors, and the customer and the competition is one of the factors for which you need to quickly adapt and change. Because you either unfollow quickly, or you define the marketplace. Okay, these are the two options. If you are lagging behind in following also, then there's a good chance you may shut your shop. The other factor that is happening with, we don't recognize the being increasingly global environment as far as business is concerned. We are subjected to far more regulatory pressures, whether it's government, whether it's social, whether it's environmental, whether it's legal, whether it's political. Okay, there are changes that keep happening throughout, and they sometimes have a severe impact on the business. Now, a person who is agile and who's fleet-footed and flexible, who's constantly observing the changes and tweak as they go down the road and keep abreast with everything, and they can keep operating while not losing focus on their key goals. As I always say, finally it comes down to numbers. You got to make the top line, you got to make the bottom line, and you got to satisfy customers and grow your revenue share, right? So
Right.
those factors remain same, while you have to be very flexible to be able to adapt to this.
In
Kind of answers your question.
Yes, Pradeep. In fact, I wanted to ask you a question, but I think you have already replied. My
Hmm.
second question would have been, is there a challenge? I mean, you have very rightly put it that we have to look
No,
at.
the challenge. No, I understand what you're coming in. You were saying, are there challenges to be organizations to be agile?
Right.
See, there are few things that you got to understand. Human beings by nature uh, have two contradictory characteristics. One is they like to be in a comfort zone. And what is comfort zone? When you get used to doing something in a certain way and it becomes part of your muscle memory, it becomes a comfort zone. Contradicting that aspect of human nature is the fact that when you keep doing the same thing, you get bored also. So the dichotomy is, on one hand, your mind wants change to experience new things. On the other hand, inherently, people are reluctant to change. And you will see as you go through large enterprises where people keep doing something repeatedly in high volume and things, they see very little change, and they tend to get so used to it. Any change, rather than experiencing the new thing or the possibility of enjoying the new way of doing things, the fear comes more. So agility has a lot to do with mindsets. It requires organization down the line from top to bottom to be focused on the marketplace and the customer. Because if you have that classic mindset of monolithic organization, my job is this, nothing more and nothing less. I don't do anything. Agility first has to be in the mind that I'm doing a set of things today, but tomorrow I may be required to do something different. I may be required to stretch myself. I may be required to do something entirely different. While understanding they're all finally contributing the same core objectives. Those don't change. Okay. So the challenge is first the mindset. Now, if you prepare an organization, like in a big bang transformation, what used to happen, there is to be a huge amount of communication uh, to get the people's mindset ready. That, why you are embarking on a big shift in your strategy, your thinking, and your operations is because of the marketplace reasons or customer reasons or regulatory, whatever that may be. Today, you need to prepare your organization that survival means constantly being on the foot, on the toes. That is survival. So it is not going to be anymore a big bang transformation. That may happen once in 5 years or something, but basically every day will be a new day. Once you prepare the mind, the second thing is you need to develop communication channels across the organization right from the top to the last through various channels, so that any change can be quickly communicated. So when people are aware that why a change is being required, the justification is there, they'll be quickly able to adapt. Secondly, there has to be a third factor, that the communication, okay, now you know there has to be a change, you know why that change has to happen. Third, what change do you have to implement? What is it that you have to do different? That communication also needs to happen through the organization layers very quickly, fast, because if that takes time, the implementation will lag so much behind, by which another change may be required. So that's the agility challenge. How do you communicate? How do you carry on board all the people and make sure how they are impacted? And of course, creating a culture of agility means being flexible, not looking at your work boundaries as built in concrete, but rather than flexible boundaries. You may have to stretch, adapt a little bit, maybe pick up a quick skill somewhere, and make sure you are executing as per the changes that are mandated. Does that completes the second question?
Yes, absolutely, it does, Pradeep. In fact, you work with so many companies in different technology areas. Uh, do you see, or is there a evolution pattern around agility which can define a particular model, or some sort of baseline? Is that evolved into that level, or it is something which is very subjective to the business of the organization?
See, I would say, the agility, I happen to have spent most of my life in a technology industry and have been serving industry outside technology. So, I have served in the automotive industry, aerospace, oil and gas, process, FMCG, CGP. You tell me every industry I've served. Now, uh, the industries that are subject to very quick changes are technology is one. The other is, FMCG. Anything rather than even B2C, because consumer behavior changes very quickly. They are prone to attitude changes based on what is also available in the marketplace. So, um, but those days are different. I mean, technology industry we were used to see. Okay, some of the other industries were not. You look at any auto industry, you don't come up with a new model for less than three years or something. Okay, that's the kind of time it requires. But look at it today. The buyer behavior changes the moment this DS6 was announced, and before, or EVs. There's a lot of people who can step back. Okay, now given that kind of market attitude changes, or market expectation changes, the organizations have to really retool themselves to make sure that they can meet that demand while making the changes at the back end. Now, obviously, for a large manufacturing industry, it's not that simple. So, my point I'm saying is one of the things that they can learn is from other industries. And technology, FMCG, retails, these are some of the industries which are used to, at least at the front end, very quick in changing. Okay, because people do promotions, people do packaging, they do repricing, they come up with new products, and technology industry has been disruptive on its internally itself, going back to Moore's law and things where you have the price in 18 months and you double the speed of computers. They were used to. So um, managing your inventory and all that very efficiently and things were a necessity, because you could, when you make things obsolete yourself, can you imagine the disruption that takes place? So, agility, those kind of organizations were much better at adapting. Uh, the, the automotive manufacturing, some oil and gas, all these countries, industries tend to be a little more conservative, much more hierarchical. They have more layers and things. So, they will face a little more challenge in terms of how to communicate. Having said that, in our connected world and with social media and close user groups and things, communication has improved like crazy. I mean, there is no delay in expressing an opinion or a view or this thing to reach almost any part of the enterprise. It can be within minutes. It has its challenges. If you generate 2,000 messages, people may not even get to see it in time. But having said that, there are opportunities to, you know, mentally create mental agility within people because of far more communication that is possible today, which was not the case. So that's one aspect. The second aspect is um, learn from other industries. And one of the things that the manufacturing industry, certainly automotive and other people have done over the years is created a lot of standardization, okay, which makes them agile. So, I can have one platform and produce three models of cars, okay, with different features, and they become three different products, okay. Secondly, it has been used to now outsourcing substantially to third parties. So, where there is to be a time where people used to buy fasteners and this, people buy assemblies, the whole systems. So, that gives them flexibility. See, agility is all about flexibility and being able to quickly change and adapt. So, inherently, all organizations have moved in that direction. It's just the speed is just changing. And earlier, the real obsession was keep seeing customer behavior, their preferences, their changing needs and demands. But now we have much more pressure from other agencies like government, like regulatory bodies and things, which are adding a new dimension. Okay, so that's a big challenge. Okay.
So,
Uh,
so I think what we gather from your, from our conversation is um, there is no standard model around agility, but I think your skills, your skill sets, having vast experience at global arena, is something that each company has to look for. And I will leave your contact details because I think you have a lot of ability and also a lot of experience in driving the agility for any kind of industry or organization. So end of this
see,
video,
the
I will.
other thing is, yeah, the key thing is, see, there are two things that become one. I said is the mindset. The second is communication. Third, your processes should be as flexible, as simple, as loosely integrated, or let's say not so tightly integrated that you cannot make any change. To give you an example, if I change a certain process because of a certain market need, and if that impacts almost all the other processes, then inherently it is not flexible.
True.
Okay. But the ability to quickly replace that process with another one and not impact rest of the things or minimally impact, that would be a flexible process. So um, it's people, process, tools. Everything has to be customizable quickly to the need. Okay. So those are the things, and that can be done. It is not that it can't be done. Yes, challenges means how fast the disruptions take place, the changes nobody can predict. That can happen very fast, and that's why you have also sometimes these changes and things are unnecessarily created or undue pressure is given by regulators or bodies and things, and that's why there has to be associations that keep discussing and make sure that uh, a business is not impacted in a way there's huge disruption in terms of employment, in terms of consumer spend. Nobody wants the economy to be hurt. But having said that, regulatory pressures come for a reason. If environment is a crisis point and you have to produce products which are environment friendly and you are not ready, then you have a problem. So you have to maybe put things in place one time so that in future you can stay with the trend, right? So those kind of things. So each organization will have to see where it is today and raise the ability to become more and more adaptable and flexible. So as I said, flexible people, flexible mindset, flexible processes, tools, technology. If that is very rigid, you will have a problem customizing it. So keep it as simple, loosely coupled, so that they can be quickly changed. So that's really the thing. There is no magic formula for this. Yeah.
So I think the most important aspect of being agile is we should be able to measure the changes that agility has brought to the organization. So is there a growth measurement uh, formula which can be adapted by the organizations today?
Okay. Let me first point out agility is not the end objective, it is the means to an end objective. And as I keep saying, our end objectives remain the same: acquire customer, retain customer, grow customer revenue, grow customer value, satisfy customers, increase top line, increase margins, okay, increase investment in innovation. Those remain the key objective. Now, agility is nothing but being able to change on a continuous basis to meet those objectives. Because you will be able to see that if you are going out of sync with market or the environment realities, these end objectives will start dropping, and you don't want that. So your key measurements still remain the same. Okay. Now, the only way to see how agile you are is go back maybe on time and see how much time you took last time to change and adapt, and are you getting better and better at it. So um, if the previous time it took you a couple of months to change anything, your next target should be maybe a fortnight, and later maybe a week. Okay. So I wouldn't say that you keep measuring, because that's not the end objective. End objective is still running the business. uh, More important is to see where you got hurt in terms of not being able to respond quickly enough to the marketplace. What were the reasons? And the reasons could be people, in which case you got to fix the mindset or the people. Reasons could be technology. You were using such a difficult computer system that couldn't be easily changed, required a lot of time, and you need to fix that. And or the processes were so tight, organization structure was so tight. And in a large complex organization, there are so many things. You depend on human resources, various people related issues when you change the structure. Okay. Uh, you find worldwide people are constantly changing organization structure and business models and various. They're doing away with certain functions and introducing new ones. Now, if people spend a lot of time discussing and agreeing, then the organization. That's why I said I wouldn't go by measurement. Measurement has no meaning. I would go by a culture that you are fast in adapting. It's like any other game of sports. I mean, all of us in India like cricket. Depending on the situation of the pitch, depending on the situation of how your first set of opponents are playing, what kind of bowling attack you will change dynamically, that is flexibility. Okay. You go with a certain mindset, preset strategy, but that needs to adapt and change to things that you unusually experience during the game, right? The same thing is true. So I wouldn't go about measuring it, but I would say, are we responding fast enough to meet our objectives? At the end of the day, if you had the magic wand and you could still meet all your business goals without changing, so be it. Maybe you had got it right in the first place. But that is hypothetical. It doesn't happen that
In
way.
fact, there is a lot of information that you can share with us because you have such a vast experience and exposure. I would like to inform my viewers that, Pradeep, a very experienced mentor in the industry, and any organization which is going through some sort of change or want to basically get things done, get aligned, become agile, improve business dynamics. I will leave Pradeep Sen's contact details at the end of this video, and he is available to guide any organization or any individual entrepreneur through his journey into agile world or with business dynamics. Uh, Pradeep, it was wonderful talking to you. It has been my pleasure to welcome you once again, and we will find more new subjects to talk to you in our TopBrass channel. which can justify your knowledge and experience. So we will invite you again and again to our program in future.
Okay. I mean, pleasure to be back, and we'll catch up again next time, hopefully with another subject. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pradeep, and bye-bye.